gave me a great opportunity to take classes in the summertime to help me graduate a little earlier. Some of my teachers at Concord said, no, you don't want to graduate too early. So I kind of graduated a little at the 11th hour. Later, I did my regular year at 81, but I could have graduated the year prior based on the fact that I had the great opportunity to spend 2 summers down at Upward Bound. Went to Lincoln University and University of Delaware.
Awesome.
So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. Why Upward Bound? Why Fame? The reason why I asked you all to come on, because these, like I said earlier, that they're two dynamic programs and that offers students or kids or offers them an opportunity to live on a college campus, to work on or kind of mold or build their future as to what direction they would like to go. Fame, what's it, a Forum for Advanced Minorities in Engineering? Engineering, that's a big field. I know they have STEM programs now. Is there anything like the STEM program or?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll help dispel a misnomer.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people think that STEM is this new thing. And those of us who are in education and involved in these community conversations, that's an acronym. Okay, we've known for many a year that math is important, that science is important, and having the ability to read, which certainly helps both of those, is highly important. And this has not changed over time. STEM is now a great way to help organizations in STEAM raise money. I mean, this is a new message and a reframing of something that we've all benefited from. I'm also a FAME alum. I know the importance of these life-changing and legacy-changing institutions, because that's what they are. They're not just programs. They are institutions. And FAME is actually nearing its 40th anniversary, and I'm going to get Kim.
Wow.
I'm going to get Kim and others involved in the community to really help us celebrate that. What we're doing for students is changing legacies. I benefited, Kim's benefited, many others, even individuals who weren't in FAME were in the Upward Bound, just by the general nature of us going through it, are touched.
Yeah, that's true.
They're touched by that. So we're still here, both programs are still here, FAME is still going strong. Actually, we're stronger than ever. We are something that Kim may not be familiar with, even though she's in the education community, so she may have heard of how we morphed. We used to be 7th through 12th, now we're down to 4th through 12th.
Wow.
And we're no longer what people used to say, and we all know this, that FAME used to be for the bougie black folks. We actually now through an initiative called Stimulate Change are reaching out to community organizations, schools, and we're reaching students who don't have to have that 3.0. And we're now changing the frame of what we do. And yes, it is science, tech, engineering, and math.
Awesome. Carmela, tell me a little bit about Upward Bound.
Upward Bound, I love the Upward Bound because I got to take Algebra 2 and different stuff so when I got back to the next year, it gave me that opportunity to already have, kind of skipped over that. So my senior year, I only took like 2 classes. I already had like 20-some credits by just having that great opportunity to go to Upward Bound. So it's phenomenal.
I enjoyed Upward Bound. I thank God for Upward Bound. I thank God for the University of Delaware for allowing these programs to exist on their campus. I see today I don't hear much about Upward Bound. I do know that it still exists. I do know that FAME still exists. In the schools, I'm not sure that they talk about them, and if they do, they're probably in small groups. I would like this to be viral, as the kids call it now, or where we can even somehow give back to the FAME, get back to Upward Bound. I've been working hard on trying to build an Upward Bound a reunion, or an Upward Bound FAME reunion, because at the University of Delaware, we stayed in the same dorm, and that was a great time. And we were all striving to be better. Some was in the Forum for Advancement. We were all, Upward Bound was Upward Bound,
Sure,
a
it's
Forum
exactly
for
what it was,
Advancement.
yeah.
And we had a connection with each other, and we got along well. And during those times, we tended to work together, even if we didn't like each other. somewhere today, it seems, and I don't know if this is true in your lives, but it seems like if I don't, and I'm not talking about me, I'm just talking about in general, if we don't particularly care for someone, we don't help them. And I don't think that that's what it's about. I think it's about helping each other in spite of, because our kids right now are suffering, and it's not enough of us to teach that generation. And like the older generation that taught us, they've done well. And it's their time really to be able to sit back and retire.
And I think one of the things that is key about our generation, and Don, your family legacy has kept you a part of it, is that legacy. And coming from a generation of parents that really were still, legacy making was almost a daily conversation, whether you use that word or not. That whole concept of you got to get where you want to go so that you can give back and to keep that going. And I think that message has to be either reframed so that it makes sense to the current generation and that they have a desire to want to be a part of that process, because I think that that's the part that doesn't feel as strong, but it's there because I get a chance to talk to some young people who have that mindset. But like you and I were saying, we are now those folks that have to be about making sure that our legacy continues.
And it's difficult now because we're spread out all over the place. I'm a firm believer that when we go away to college and we come back, our goal is to make better lives for ourselves. But a part of our goal, or a part of what we do, is to give back that skill to our youth. And I don't know, but I don't see it on a major scale, because I believe that if it was being done on a major scale, some of this crime wouldn't be in existence.
Well, I'll piggyback on what Kim said and also answer your question. A lot of the issue that we have is yes, you know, there are different segments, there are different programs. Part of that issue is that we are put in competition over dollars. You know, we have to survive, we have to raise money, we have to do all these things. So we're separating ourselves just by the nature of what we do. I agree with you. You know, we should have some sort of celebration of the overall goal. But part of the issue between today and yesteryear is that the expectation level is much different. I often talk about a community expectation of excellence.
Yes.
That's why our schools aren't fantastic. That's why our community is no longer as strong as it used to be, because there's not that expectation that guess what you're going to do. You're going to get up every morning, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. These are the things that the parents and the community expected. So we've lost that in a major way. And the other thing, and I'll end it on this, the other thing is that there are distractions. And there always have been, but these distractions are much more focused, laser-like focused. Whether it's the music, whether it's, you know, clothing, whether the messaging, the technology, all of this is lending to an environment and creating an environment that is struggle, survive, and everything else outside of survival, like this extra stuff that we're talking about, gets put on the back burner.
It does. It does, and we have to come up with a way to put it on the front burner.
Absolutely.
To put our kids first. I know as far as being an educator, sometimes when teaching a child, you know, childs come with all kinds of issues, perhaps, you know, at times. And sometimes we tend not to see that whole child. And I'm not speaking for all teachers, but I can speak for me that my goal this year, and I'm gonna practice hard on teaching the whole child in spite of the negative that I may get from outside sources. At times we tend to, when we teach, we teach half the child, and a half of the child that we teach is the good behavior. But as soon as that good behavior or that negative behavior kicks in, instead of us teaching in spite of that kid, you know, he's out of class.
And you know, one of the things that is a common topic these days is trauma-informed care, which is recognizing that a lot of these young folks are dealing with not only distractions but trauma. You know,
Diagnosed or undiagnosed.
and so I think that we have to speak to that. And I think going back to some of the unspoken benefits, whether it's of fame or Upward Bound, is relationship. You know, you really had a chance to exist with a group of like-minded people. They were all interested in going to college. They were all interested. So it was okay to be smart. It was okay that you were making choices that were more focused on academics because you were with a whole group that was their mindset. Now we knew how we had fun.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but we all had that as a common goal too.
And to your point, education should be fun.
Yeah.
Getting along with people should be fun. Not looking at, because a kid might come in and may not have the smell that you're used to, you still have to love that child.
Sure.
And that kid has to have fun in spite of. So sometimes I believe that we have to get out of what things look like, you know, and really show that love and genuine concern for the child instead of just looking at a paycheck. You know?
Another thing that is key, also along the same line of conversation, is that I'm going to guess, and anyone who knows my mother knows what I'm dealing with at the dinner table, and history. Knowing who we are and who we were and where we came from was something that during the 70s, 80s, I mean, that was a vital part of being proud.
Yes.
And being able to sit up and put your shoulders back and put your
Right.
head up. That has been just about wiped away from most of these students. They know basketball, they know music, they don't know who Mae Jemison is. They don't know who these very, very key people in science, technology, engineering, and math, and beyond, and arts. They don't know them.
Yeah.
So one of the unique things that we're doing now is we are taking that as a banter and infusing it in everything we do. So we have this series, American and Global Icons, and
Awesome.
we're introducing them to people who look like them, who may not look
Sure.
like them, because that is a binding force. One other thing that is also really significant about all of these programs, and we should not leave this out because it's hugely important, is that a lot of the people who were teaching us look like what?
They look like us.
They look like us, and they cared for us. Not to say that our other education or other influences didn't, but to come to a Fame or Upward Bound on a Saturday or in the summertime and have Miss Light James or have Mr. Moloch and have these people, whoever they were, look like you and care about you in a way and give you hugs, or Mr. or Dr. Fleming who would get on you and let you know.
I even know that.
That was
name.
important. That was
He
important.
would
Yeah.
keep you in
We,
check.
we had a Bill
That's
Morris,
true, though.
but I do
Oh,
remember
my
the name
God.
Dr.
Yes,
Fleming.
Dr. Fleming.
Yeah, Mars is a good one.
And you're right. And I'm curious because do you all actually sometimes come together, the Fame program and Upward Bound program, just to talk to, this is what we do?
We have
And-
not. Well, let me recant that, and I'll step back. I have interacted with my colleague at Upward Bound when I really first took over, maybe back in 12 or 13.
Okay.
We have been so focused on taking what we do, improving it. I am in the national conversations. I've certainly been engaged on the local conversations, but no, it has not been a concerted effort to sit down monthly, biannually, or whatever. And maybe that's something that should happen. Again, and I'll just totally be honest, we are out here trying to make sure that we survive and that we raise this money and that we're doing things that are unique. And I know they might pay attention to what we're doing and we pay attention, but there's not been a formalized, Let's sit down and let's do this. And that's a great
And
point.
Steve, you can make that happen. Congratulate yourself.
Listen, I actually,
Congratulate yourself.
He has made it
Why
happen.
don't you set that up for the next segment? Congratulations.
not a bad
You
idea.
can do it.
Sounds good.
Well,
You
yes.
can bring this collaboration together.
You
We're
know,
counting on you, Steve.
Yes, ma'am. Because I asked that question simply because as students in Upward Bound, past student in the Upward Bound program and Fame, one thing just by seeing them, you know, it was like a competition, but it was like pushing me to be better. Or I was in Upward Bound, I wouldn't be in Fame. My math scores wasn't high enough or something like that. But it just to see that and just to have that conversation, because sometimes, like again, the way things look, be it that you're in Fame and the kid's in Upward Bound, he's looking at that Fame student as if that Fame student is much higher IQ, and that's not what it is. And sometimes they need to know that, so they need to really congregate together every now and again.
And you know, I think both programs provide exposure, and exposure is so important. I talk with young people whose world is the 2 or 3 blocks that they live in. Beyond their bus trip to school, their world is small. And whether it was Fame or Upward Bound, you got to see what it was like for different industries or other professionals, or what it was like to be on a college campus. So it gave you an appetite for something that might have been different than what you would have otherwise had a chance to be exposed to.
Hold that thought. I want to ask if you can really put the telephone number, just in case someone may want to call in. I don't get many calls in on Thursdays, but if that's to happen, that would be really good. So if you could flash the telephone number on the screen, if possible. But back to your point, that you're so right and you're so true. There are so many productive citizens that I know personally from the Fame program, that I know personally from the Upward Bound program. And I tried to put together a group called Upward Bound Beyond, where we could come together. And it's not just for a party, but we want to get together and have a reunion and Fame, both of us together. And out of that group, we can have some folk that say, well, this is what I like to do. And we put this in a think tank. Then we have a think tank of people. And then when we have that think tank of people, then the mindset of what's going on with the states and redistricting and all these things could kind of change, because it's a lot of awesome people from the Fame program, from the Upward Bound program that I know personally, and I don't see them on that list of people who have something to do with the change in our education, when they redistrict the schools. I don't see any of them on that list, and we have some dynamic people, I know for sure. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, and somehow we have to come together and start talking about these things so we can impact our community. Let me ask you something, Mr. Morehouse, sir. Hold on. The number now is 425-5272. If you want to call in, fine. If not, that's fine too. But Morehouse College, from Fame to Morehouse, I hear a lot about the Morehouse College, and I hear that it's like the Harvard of the HBCUs. I'm not sure, but this is what I hear. Tell me about your experience at Morehouse.
So Morehouse College, located in Atlanta, Georgia. I would say my experience there, I would not trade for the world. I have so much that's going through my mind right now, and one of the things that we talked about when we were off air was the significance of having an opportunity, first and foremost, to go to college. And I know I'm kind of sandwiched in between Lincoln, UD, and UD.
Yes, you are,
but,
thank you.
But for
that
me,
would be Norfolk State.
And
Norfolk State.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
For me personally, I would be a different person had I not attended Morehouse College, and specifically an HBCU. I am a huge fan of what those academic environments do for the confidence of minority students. I have seen my sisters and niece go through colleges, predominantly white colleges, and struggle with finding support, struggle with identity, all of these things. And that's not the case for me. And, you know, it's my story. You know, I really loved all that blackness, for lack of a better phraseology. I loved it because it helped me understand the context in which I needed to be a leader. I needed to be confident. I needed to be able to go out here and not be seen as, oh, well, you must be arrogant because you're smart and because you're a black man, and all these things that often are portrayed of us as leaders. That's not my it's not my history by going to Morehouse.
Hello.
All right, hold that thought.
Oh, there's a test? Oh.
Trick or
All right.
treat. Trick or treat.
You know, I
Okay,
think that
I'm
that's
sorry,
really
go-
interesting because, you know, when you get around and you have a conversation between folks that are from HBCUs and from predominantly white schools, is I think that there is a set of experiences that go with either. And so one of the things that was great for me about University of Delaware is it was, you're right, there were struggles with identity, there were struggles with feeling like you were a part of, but what came out of it was an intense incubator of people that really supported each other through our experience at the University of Delaware. And we would often have speakers. We would, if someone was coming through from the national circuit, whether it was Angela Davis, you know, or people like that, we flocked because we knew that that was where we were gonna get fed. And so I think that we also came out with a different set of skills from that experience, and certainly about navigating a world when you aren't the one that is always going to be in the largest number.
Absolutely.
And being able to have some firsthand. Would you say that that was similar for you?
Yeah, and since I had both worlds, I went to Lincoln first, well, UD with the Upward Bound program, and then so I kind of was familiar with the campus, and I went to Lincoln, so I had the opportunity, like Malcolm X's youngest daughter was one of my roommates when I first got there, so I kind of got to that feel. We had a whole bunch of excitement going on in our room just for that alone. As far as identity, prior to even going to college, with the busing situation, the first year I volunteered, transferred into AI, so I didn't have an identity crisis when I got to University of Delaware because I went to AI for the volunteer transfer. And then I went to Concord High, and in part of Concord High, I ended up seeing a lot of excitement that go on. I graduated with a 4.0, and we had 3 commencement speakers. Not in the history have I heard, and I brought that on the stage to show you that we have 3 commencement speakers, and we had to compete for it to be a commencement speaker. All 3 of us, so I was one of the winners to win, so we ended up with 3 commencement speakers. Because, and I think and I talked to Steve prior to off air, that contribution was probably because of the busing. You know, we can't have 1 speaker, we have to have 3. So we ended up with 3 commencement speaker and Mayor Sales spoke at our graduation, which was good, but it was I think it was an identity thing going on, and I wanted to kind of make sure. So we had to do a whole competition, a rally before, and we, from the teacher body and the students to even get to that level. So there was the identity thing that went on there from AI. I went to AI first with the volunteer transfer up in Greenville, and then so I kind of got a little, exposure to a different environment. So it kind of helped me by the time I got to University of Delaware from Lincoln, transferring back into state, due to funds. It was less expensive to come back in town.
Let me go forward.
Yes.
Regarding redistricting, or the redistricts of the school. I understand now Christina will be in Newark. I understand that Red Clay is going to take majority. Fame, Upward Bound, how do we get involved to impact these students? Because I think we may look at some tension, but not to the capacity where it may be. It may be riots, it may be, and I'm not saying this can happen, but these are the type of things because you have gangs and they're going to school together. How can we intervene and get these kids together so they can begin to operate as one and not feel left out, and the little shy or bashful person could feel, because it's going to be a lot, and we really have to be there to support our youth.
Well, from my vantage point, and we always hear this, and it sounds so cliche, but it starts in the house, and it goes back to me about fostering a communal expectation of excellence. We have to, in some way, shape, or form, make that paramount. I mean, we have to do that. If we do not do that, you are going to continue to have kids who, you know, maybe when they're in school, they change their tune a little bit, but when they get back home, they got to survive. So we have to make sure that the expectation of the community is excellence. And that's going to be a really tough thing to do. You know, I'm going to say this on the air, and I typically wouldn't say this. I'll maybe say this amongst people I feel comfortable about with drugs and the drug culture. There's a lot of STEM in drugs. A lot of math, a lot of science. In some way, we have to find a way to turn that into something productive.
Yeah.
And it sounds totally crazy, but guess what? I'm a little bit crazy.
Oh.
Because if we don't do things that are crazy, if we don't do things that are crazy and different, we're going to get the same result, and we're going to continue to lose our kids. So how we go about doing it, it's about leadership at home or in the community, and it's about the leadership of these schools and our new interim or whoever is going to be Secretary of Education to take some bold leaps and understand that we, as the three of us, the four of us, feel that this is so important that we're going to be vocal about it. And we're going to be a pain in your you-know-what until you make some change.
I think everyone has to find a way to be present
Yes.
wherever they feel that they fit in, whether it's at the FAME level, whether it's at a mentor level, whether it's going to the city council meetings when they're having the discussions, whether it's going to your district. We have to be present and be accountable for what's going on in our city.
Okay. I know that with the HBCU Delaware Coalition, it's hard. You know, it's new. I founded it. It's just hard to bring some of our alumni out of those corners where they are to come back and support our community with their skill. I'm working hard on it. I'm not going to give up. I'm a perseverer. I really need for our kids to become or to persevere, because that word perseverance, that means a lot as far as what we're getting ready to go to or go through. As far as the FAME, as far as the Upward Bound groups, I hope that we can get together somehow and have a reunion. I hope that we can get together and keep the conversation going. I don't want this to be the last time that we connect. I want the next time that we connect to be even more. I want Upward Bound directors. I want the ex-FAME members, the ex-Upward Bound members, just to come together so we can really have this think tank, and so we can really make a change in this community. Because if it's not good change, just doesn't make good sense. Do the math.
Right.
We're going to, at this point, take a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
Tune in to HBCU Delaware Talks.
What's going on in HBCU schools? I like what Delaware is doing. What direction are you going? Where are you going right now as far as some of your programs and what you have to offer?
Well, what's exciting about what's happening in Delaware State right now is that we have some outstanding science programs. Just today,
Is that right?
NASA just announced 10 universities that will receive a $5 million grant to work on STEM, and Delaware State was part of that process, and it's something that is consistent with what we have on campus. If you come on campus, you'll see a brand new science building that's going up.
Yes.
State-of-the-art facility, it's $18 million facility, and it aligns perfectly with what we've been talking about in terms of elevating our programs and making sure that we have programs that are relevant and also competitive, and we're being responsive to the community in terms of creating an opportunity for underrepresented students to go into the STEM disciplines, and that's something that we take a great deal of pride in.
So I see that Delaware State, we have a campus on DuPont High.
Right.
How can we draw more students from the Wilmington area to Delaware State University? Because I need a lot of information on Delaware State, so I can promote you.
Right. And that's one reason.
Welcome back to the show. And because we're